Okay, good day. We'll go ahead, we'll get a game started here. The idea is, if I play white, I'm going to try to use the first two or three opening moves that I'm familiar with from the Vienna, and then essentially just play chess. Try to avoid blunders, and one of the reasons that I do play a 30-minute game is to try to really think through each move, and while we're recording, give an explanation as to what I'm thinking or what I'm trying to avoid. So take my time, avoid the blunders. If I end up being white, I'll probably try to use the Vienna very unskillfully, and then again call out, um, you know, play to e4. Call out the coordinates, so I can get better with memorizing the map and or the board, um, and what pieces are hitting what. So I am white. We'll play the first move towards a Vienna. I'm sure they'll play e5, and then we've got the Vienna. Now, after this, um, I'm pretty sure I'm going to forget what comes next, what to play if they play what. But we shall see what happens. I believe, okay, so that I think is exactly what we were looking for. I believe we bring the pawn here, but let's say we do. I believe the top engine move, or the main line, is to, okay, so when they bring that knight, I forget exactly. Now I forget, of course, what I'm supposed to be doing here. So I think it's something like I push. Okay, so let's just say that. Let's say I push another pawn, they take, and then I push another pawn. Or is it that I bring the knight, they take? Man, I want to say there's also some lines where you bring out the queen, but this isn't one of them. Right, I think the queen can be brought out when there's a center. Right, when I've got nice control over the center. So I don't have nice control over the center now. I want to say I push. I got to get good at this. I'll push a pawn there, just because I'm not so sure. And then I'll bring out I think this is where, I could just have a nice connect 4. But let's say I did. Right, because if I'm them right now, what I'm thinking is, oh, I'm going to bring in my bishop. Let's bring in a knight. I think there's some gambit style stuff that perhaps we missed out on with this opening, but it's something that I'm slowly starting to piece together. See, yeah, I was expecting that. Takes. and I'm pinned. Okay. So I don't think that's what we want to do at all. Let's just say now, there we go. Let's just threaten the bishop. But now I feel like I've got a castle queenside. I feel like I've committed to that now. So now, is there a way for me to have this? Yeah, so if I push the pawn, they're going to move there, and I'm going to push the pawn. I feel like I'm up if I do this. Right, because they're going to back up the bishop, and then it's trapped. So I think already I'm going to be up a piece. There we go. And it's got nowhere left to go. And if they come in, if they, just take the pawn, then instead of taking with, my center pawn on e4, I'm going to take with the g4 pawn to keep my connect 4. See, now I don't know. Do I even take? Is now my question. Do I even take, or is it just, hey, I've got you trapped? So let's say they pull up a pawn. I can take. They take. I take. Oops, that was a weird one. I might just absolutely let this hang. Because what can I do here? What if I bring my knight here? Threatening, threatening. No, none of that looks good. I do like, so let's say I bring out this bishop. Okay, can't move the knight, but you can bring forward a pawn. I take, you take, take. Let me go through that one more time. So bishop to g5, pawn to h6, takes, takes, I'm having a hard time thinking this through. Bishop, pawn, takes, 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 takes. Takes, takes, boom, boom. I gotta keep that in mind too. I don't think I'm gonna take just yet. I think what I'd like to do is get my queen out of the center. I want to get, I'm sorry, rather move my queen out of the way so I can get my king out of the center. Takes, takes, takes. That might have been a bad move. Because they may be able to now take one of my... Okay, so I think I'm just going to take. So now this bishop is stuck. If this bishop, oh, let me take that back. With the knight there, the bishop is not stuck. So, yeah, should I? So let's say I do take, and they take, then what? Because I like the idea of having the bishop pair, but that knight is really going to be a thorn in my side as I try to maneuver around. I think I am comfortable trading here. Because stopping a pawn with a knight, as I understand, is supposed to be a good move. Okay, so now I can castle. Now they cannot bring out this bishop. Now the queen cannot move here, right? Black's queen cannot. Knight here. You know, if they do, I can bring the knight here. If the queen does come out to any extent, you know, we'll see. We'll see what they do next before I start trying to calculate something when I am not very good at calculating. Okay, so the queen does poke her little head out. So again, like so they're clearly trying to castle in this direction. Here's what we'll do, at least for now. Let's threaten the queen. If the queen, what can the queen do here? We've got real nice control of the center. I mean, I do like that. You know, this pawn is, you know, it's in my midst, but it's not preventing me from doing anything that I want to do. Currently, I imagine they're going to move the queen here. That's what I imagine, because I still think they're trying to castle. And then once they do, oh wow, just straight up move right back, huh? Okay, well, now I've got the pawn out of my side. We're up a piece. We've got better control of the center. My queen is, you know, barreling down on their knight, their king. And I just think we're in a better position than black right now. I mean, four of their pieces are still in the back rank. I know three of mine are, but I've also got three right smack dab controlling the center of the board. So I feel good about this so far, even though I don't play that opening often. But I'm trying to learn it, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. And we've got roughly the same amount of time on the board. So far I feel good about this. Again, if I'm them, I bring my queen here, but they've lost some tempo. When I say here, I mean d7. I would bring my queen to d7 and, you know, try to castle. Maybe bring out my bishop so I can try to castle. But again, I'm targeting their pawn on g7. White's just not in a good spot right now. I think. I've lost games where I felt this confident before. Something I'm pretty good at. But again, here it's protected by the knight. Protected by the knight. Pawn protects, pawn protects, pawn protects. I feel good. I'm not sure what they're thinking about, because they've got to either develop something. You know, I think the safest way or smartest way maybe push a pawn, but you know, you don't want that because then I'm going to get your knight. So I don't know what that is. Move over my king to protect the pawn. See, that would have been my move a couple moves ago. Now I'm gonna threaten the knight. They're just everything that black is doing right now. It's coming at a loss of tempo. And as much as I could have played that pawn a moment ago, and I'm certainly aware of that, I do like moving my king over to give him a little bit of breathing room in the event that I come face to face with a back rank mate. That's scooting over the king once I feel is a safe play when castling queenside. So again, I mean, he's got to move here, and then trap your queen in again. Then I'll play this pawn with the idea that if they take, I'm going to take with my knight. Oh gosh, okay. I'll push there. My goodness. So if they take with the pawn, I'm not going to take with the pawn. I wouldn't be surprised if they just move their queen, though. I wonder if I'm pushing myself too far in advance. Gosh. Okay. Protected, not protected. So if I bring my knight, man, their queen's just gonna. I am really just harassing this guy. Queen can't move here. Queen can't move here. Queen can't move here. Can't move here. I'm really just doing a number on them. They've just got to bump their queen back. Yeah. Still. Oh my goodness. And I'm just not sure what I should be doing, other than continuing to threaten their queen. I'm trying to think about what's going to set me up. What I think. I think I want to get this pawn out of my way. I don't know. Right? I just don't like that there's a whole bunch of real estate over here that none of us are really taking advantage of. But I don't know what there's to think about. That queen, it just needs to move. Yeah, okay. So now, let's say I push a pawn, takes, boom, takes. What happens if I push another pawn? We're threatening here. If they push this pawn to threaten my knight, I'm going to come in and fork their rooks. If they take, I'm going to take, and then bring the knight in to threaten their rook. So unless they move a rook right now, no, actually, let me take that back. I think no matter what they play, I'm going to end up with one of their rooks. Because if they move, I fork them, and there's no way. Wait a minute, maybe I'm trapping their queen. No, knucklehead. If I move, they're bringing their... Yeah, okay. So, bloop, which one? Which rook are you giving up? That's the question. So as I made that move, I was looking at perhaps I should have brought in my rook. You know, because they moved their bishop, that pawn's no longer protected. Perhaps I should have brought that in. But then they would have had a chance to take my knight. I don't know. I like the idea of forking them first. Or if you bring down this knight, I take with check. Yeah, so if you bring down this rook, you're going to lose both. So you've got to move this one. Really? Okay, so let's think this through. What would be the idea there? Push, push. Okay, so takes, push, or oh, okay. I'm trying to think here. What's the real move here? I think it's take. What if I did take? If I take, so okay, so hold on. So takes, no, hold on. Takes, moves, takes, move, takes. Let's do this. Let's take that pawn. takes. Okay, so let's think this through. So if I take. So let's take. Okay. Takes. I've got a rook, they've got a rook. I've got a knight, they've got a knight. Let's take away both rooks. I think I might be a move or two away from checkmate, right? So if it's takes, check, takes, check. Okay, but that's, so check. If they take with the knight, I take with the queen, and now I think it's pretty much checkmate. Because I can just bring, oh! Wow. Embarrassing. So now, what do? I gotta fight. So, oh, man. Oh! Okay, this is not it, man. Whew. Ugly. Nice. Goal number one was to not blunder. And look at me now. Okay. So man, I'm gonna message him. Well played. This is why they're rated higher than I am. Oh, that hurts. That doesn't feel good at all. Okay, so now I just need to be thinking endgame stuff. Their king is far more active, and it's going to be hard to get my bishop and my rook to coordinate against their queen. In fact, I'm already thinking, where can their queen move that's going to hurt me? Right here. Okay, I'll take that. I should have just taken a pawn when I had the chance. Oh, shit. Oh! Hopefully they take my bishop. Take the bishop. If they take... Nice! I've got their queen back. I'm going to win. Here we go. Boom. Game over. And then I'm going to walk that queen up on the H-file. Go get me a queen. Nice. Nice. I didn't mean that when I took that pawn. I was not trying to set him up. But as soon as I moved there, I realized, ooh, my bishop's looking tasty. Trap. Okay, so we got him. At this point, it would require two very significant blunders in the same game. What he needs to do is move his king to the G file, is what he does need to do. Because if he moves to the E file, I'm going to cut him off on the G file and walk my H pawn up and queen. I'm assuming there's a really good chance that he just resigns. I could be wrong. It may take me a while to figure it out. You know, if he backs his king up into a corner. Um, but I'll use my king and my pawns to walk up and take the rest of it. So at this point, I feel pretty good. That was a man. I can't believe I gave up my queen, but nice. Okay, so he moved to the G file. Smart move. Okay, smart move. But now I've got all his pawns. So he's gonna lose either the C or B pawn. Nice. I'll start with that one. The only thing I'm going to try and do is get this D pawn up the board. Plain and simple. I don't want to tell my opponent to resign, but at this point they're just wasting my time. Because if they pass me by, you know, if they don't take, then I'll queen my C pawn. If they do take, I'll capture. Okay. Just resign. Come on. Boom. Boom. What am I gonna do? Okay, I'll keep my rook. It'll be easier to just if they move a pawn, I'll bring the rook. Okay, nice. Okay, so again, that was well played by them. They had one ugly blunder after I had an ugly blunder. Good. Oops. Good game. Okay, so let's go to game review. I know I had at least one blunder, but I hope the other three were on them. Maybe I had two. We'll see. Two and two sounds fair. That wasn't the greatest match. Okay, 83% accuracy. I like it. Oh, I had two great moves. I even like that. Okay. So, okay, let's... How does it adjust the board? Can you see the whole... Okay, yeah, you can see the whole board. Okay, so... book move. Queen's pawn. Book move. The Vienna opening. All right. This is... Oh, that is also a book move. Okay, this is the Vienna game. You've played this opening 54 times with a 61% win rate. Okay, so I'm surprised to hear that it's 54 times because I haven't played it in a while. I must not have played it on purpose. Okay, so I'm already winning. I'm already better. Okay, so in the event that they play with both knights, apparently I just want to take. Okay. Because then they take with their knight, is I guess what's expected. And then I've just got a nice little center. Is that the idea? And when they move back, I threaten with another pawn, and then they can't move here, can't move here, can't move here, can't move here. They really just have to bring their knight back. Is that the idea? So that I've got good control over the center. Okay, so that's nice for me to remember in the event that they play with two knights, to just go ahead and take. In fact, let's play that out. Takes, takes, good center, moves, threatens, retreats. Okay, so that's what I will play in the future when I go up against two knights in the Vienna. So I didn't take though. I protected that pawn. Oh, I think also part of the idea was I wanted to clear the way for my dark squared bishop. But so now black is winning, and I feel like a knucklehead for that. That was a good move. They moved their bishop. That was a good move. Again, as soon as they brought their bishop out, I saw that I was going to be able to trap it. You know, even though I blundered partway through the game, this was kind of a turning point that I saw I was going to be up material for at least part of the game. Right, and the idea behind bringing out the bishop, the rook here, is that it traps, normally, again, and I think I said this at the time, I forgot that the knight was there. The knight's protecting the g7 pawn. But the idea behind bringing out this rook is that it traps the bishop, because if the bishop moves, minus the knight, that pawn becomes vulnerable. So that was the idea. So now, I feel like the bishop is trapped, right? So my queen's in some danger, and you know, at that point I was just willing to trade. I've got a nice sturdy center. I didn't want the knight on my side, you know, preventing me from, you know, moving things around. I guess so. I didn't like the idea of that knight being there. So I do like having the bishop pair, but that was an instance where I was willing to make the exchange. In fact, actually, what did the computer said I should take two. Okay, nice. I feel good about that. Of course, they take. I did want a castle. They're saying, the computer's saying, that I should have just eaten up a little bit more space in the center. That's, although I'm certainly not in a position to argue with the computer, something about our nice little pawn chain I didn't want to disrupt. So, okay, castles. You know, perhaps when they move the queen there, one of the things I think about is, you know, shuffling around and getting a rook, so that if I'm able to move out of the way, I've got their queen, you know, stuck to their king. But, you know, whatever. Okay, so again, here I am just harassing the queen. I feel like for the most part of this game, I was up on tempo. And, you know, I don't know how many times I had to just, you know, I've got two pieces that are essentially in the center of the board. They've got one. I've got my queen on the second rank, but I've got, although my first rank pieces are still on the first rank, my rooks are far more active in the game than theirs. So it's not just a matter of, as I'm trying to assess the game as it goes on, what I see here is that just from start to finish, I had better piece coordination and better piece activity, I guess. Okay, then, you know, took the pawn, right? So the computer's saying that was even the better move. Interesting. Okay. So again, so here's a great moment. I could have at this moment threatened the knight, but I just, for whatever reason, I didn't like the idea of the knight coming in to threaten my king. So I scooted over the king, because eventually I'm going to open up this window. What did they play? They played the queen next. push the pawn, and it does two things at once. Speaking of tempo, I'm threatening the knight to make him retreat, and giving my king a little bit of breathing room in the event that my back rank gets threatened. So they retreat, push the pawn, when what I should have done was push this pawn. I can't argue with the move. I just wanted to keep closing in on their queen. I mean, that's what the idea was. And actually, at this very moment, what I really would have liked to have done if they weren't allowed to move anything else, move the pawn and check the king. But so what happened? They castled, which was a good move. I didn't actually see that coming. So now, again, I'm threatening their queen. I thought there was a good chance they were going to take. I would take and then be threatening their, threatening to fork their pieces. Being protected by the queen. Again, bringing my pieces closer and threatening their queen. Okay, nice. Of all the options there, the knight was the computer's choice. I like it. So I'm up at 8.5 points almost. Okay, so that was a decent move. What I like here is this. They took a long time to think about which rook to move. About a minute and a half, and they didn't even decide. And that to me is, I don't know what that rook idea or that bishop idea was. I don't know what that does. Well, it'll come back to haunt me, so maybe credit to them. Okay, took that pawn. Okay, nice. That was okay. They moved their rook. So here's where, let me talk about calculation here. At this moment, I was struggling to think. Do I take the rook, they take my rook, and then I take a knight, and then they take a knight? In that sequence of events, realistically, what ends up happening is, rook for rook, and then knight for knight. It's an even trade, and I didn't like that. So that's why I took their rook, even though they're saying I should have pushed with a pawn. Interesting. So then when they take my rook, wow, gosh, I don't know. It's tough to say because although the computer sees it, is the opponent going to play the computer move? More than likely not, especially when we're both rated around 800. So I took their rook so that I could end up with two rooks. And I actually didn't even care whether they took with their rook or they took with their queen. I didn't care. Just, I was up the trade. That's what was important to me. Now the idea here is that they take with their knight, and then I would take with my queen. They would scoot their king, and then it would be checkmate. Like a knucklehead, I forgot about their bishop on h4. So, boom, boom, wow. The evaluation bar takes me down to negative 2 points. So perhaps what I should have done was taken with the knight to threaten their queen. But I guess at this point, one of the things that did go into struggling with that calculation where we exchanged knights and rooks, I was going to open the door for their queen to become more active, and that wasn't something I was excited about. But giving the material on the board, at this point, if we traded queens, right? Let's just say that they came off the board. It would have been bishop against bishop with a knight and a rook. So I felt great. I felt very good about trading pieces. I just did not see that frickin' bishop. So great move on their end. Traded, and then I don't feel good about this. In fact, I don't think you can see it. Oh, I guess you can. The computer's giving him about 2 points, and I feel the same way. I'm looking at this thinking to myself, man, to make a rook and bishop coordinate's kind of hard. I'm only up one pawn in the pawn game, so I don't like this at all. And you know, gave him a check, give him another check. Um, just, just totally gifting him a pawn. Oh. Well, hello to you. So that was absolutely a mistake there. Okay, so computer's saying I should have brought down the rook. I don't know what that perhaps would have been to accomplish. But needless to say, that's not what happened. They brought down the queen, right? The pawn's double protected. Ooh, they're saying there was a better move here. Oh yeah, I should have immediately taken that pawn. Okay, I recognize that once they move their queen. But here, and I wasn't trying to set this up as a trap, but once I took that pawn, immediately I realized, you know, while looking at it, that that bishop looks awfully good. And you know, even at the 800 level, you know, I know that we're pretty low ranked. Even at the 800 level, you've got to see that you can't have your king and queen on the same either file or rank as long as I've got my rook. And so when they took the bishop, I immediately knew this was game over because I'm threatening check and they can't protect their queen at the same time. Now, what I will say is, had they moved their king over to get out of the way, it would have been over a little bit quicker. Because I would have taken their queen, you know, again, let's say they push a pawn, I would have came over to the g-file and just walked up my pawn. I don't know if it was smart or if they got lucky, but when they moved over to the g-file, it made it a little bit easier. I don't know why. At this point, I don't know why I moved over to the g-file. I should have immediately come up like the computer said, so I do see that. Although it's not what happened, eventually the outcome came to where we wanted it to be, right? And then it really from here is pretty self-explanatory. You know, keep the king off of this file, and then walk up either one of these pawns, right? And that's exactly what happened. So the reason I moved there, and I did say this at the time, if they then move their pawn forward, it was just going to be a pawn race, you know, and you know, let their king threaten my rook all they want. And then if they took, right, take back, and now I've got a pass pawn, you know, totally blocked off by this rook. Of course, that's not exactly how it went, but it came super close, right? Protect the rook by moving it. Pawn push, and then again, protect the rook, pawn push. And at this point, I didn't have to protect the rook. I just protected the rook with a queen. And, you know, so I like how that went. So, certainly not my best game. Although I did want to avoid blunders, I didn't. Outside of that, though, played pretty solidly, kept black back on tempo, and, you know, just made sure to advance my pieces and develop my pieces better than they did. So, thanks for joining me. And I hope you guys enjoyed that.